Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Unreal Editor for Fortnite Build Along show. Sit back, relax, and build with us. I'm your host, Tina, and today with me I have two of our wonderful builders, Josh, and a new face as well has joined us today, Christian. First, I'll have Josh introduce yourself, and then Christian will get into the interrogation.
Yeah, what's up, guys? I'm Josh. If you don't know me, I'm a creator evangelist on UEFN. I work in the tools a lot, and I kind of help share what I learn with the community, as well as really just try to help level everybody up. So, yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out. We tend to do these like every month, sometimes different hosts, but yeah, today we're joined with Christian.
Let's toss it
Hello.
over. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christian. I am brand new to Epic, and I'm also a creator evangelist with Josh. I'm going to be doing all things first. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to be learning all about making islands with verse. I come from a different platform, so I'm getting a little caught up to speed, and I'm really excited to see Josh build today.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. I think this is a good place to kind of get a an understanding of mood and setting the atmosphere, not to play too heavily into the title. I feel like I lost points for that one, but I refuse to apologize.
You should.
I like our kind of lazy titles that are very, very open and generic because it gives us a lot of room to play around.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, the plan is today really, yeah, create an atmosphere. And what does that mean? Like, use lighting, use the day sequence device. Maybe we'll get into the environmental light rig, or at least I'll touch on it. Use post processing and light actors, and even like discuss and maybe move around like things and creating like compositions, things that look visually nice on top of your level and your level design. So yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And of course, as always, if you all have questions as we're going through this, make sure to pop them in the chat there, and I will interrupt Josh's flow to make sure that we can get those answered. So if anything comes to mind as it goes through, pop them in there and we'll ask as we go along the way. But I think I'm ready to dig in if you're ready, Josh.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So this is uh this is a payload game that I've just kind of been working on. You don't know payload, you get in this zone here, and you and your team, you push the cart all the way till like the final checkpoint there, and then there's a second team. Its goal is to stop you from pushing the cart and hold you out for a certain amount of time. We won't be doing anything to do with the gameplay today, but it's like a nice level that I've thrown together, and you can see it's already decked out in an atmosphere, like with a nice atmosphere right now, nice lighting and this nighttime thing going on. Uh, but for the sake of today's live stream, we will get rid of that and work on some daytime lighting, because it's always nice to have dynamic lighting and send the player into maybe the same level but with different vibes, which make it feel a little different each time.
Mhm.
I'm gonna
We'll miss
move.
you, Night Lighting.
We'll miss you.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
I'm
Night Lighting,
gonna
for all you've done.
move this day sequence device out of the way. It's a trigger volume right now, and then if you haven't used the device, when you untrigger that, then it applies to the whole island. So, I mean, technically, when you walk in this, that old lighting's still there. Anyways, that means that we could like dynamically, have this device turn on and switch it to night on the second round or something. But I also have a post processing volume somewhere in here. There it is. I don't think it's really doing much. Okay, you'll see. It's increasing detail a little. I think I also had some bloom in there to balance that out, and then
Yeah, it's
maybe like a
subtle,
little. Yeah,
but
it's subtle,
I
but
can see it.
it's something. Um, but we are just gonna we'll just hide this one, and let's kind of in the same way turn off the infinite extent. Yeah, okay, there. And so now this is also a zone, and we'll just move this over here and not worry about it. Okay, so yeah, like I mentioned, we're really going to be looking at the day sequence device here, at least right now. This is a device that lets you edit our time of day manager. So if you go to your world settings menu, which if you don't have that up by default like I do, you'd click window, you'd go to world settings here. This is where you can see your time of day settings. There are two options, chapter 4 and chapter 5. You can also disable our time of day manager and build your own completely with an environmental light rig and your own skybox and that sort of thing. That's a much like larger effort that I don't think I could do in an hour and a half. So for the sake of the stream, we're going to be using the chapter 5 day night cycle and the day sequence device to very easily.
Josh, why would someone want to like build all of that for themselves rather than use what comes with the chapter 5 or chapter 4?
Great question. I mean, you can definitely go very far with our existing time of day manager and the day sequence device system. You can edit things like sunlight and fog and the skylight and the sky and clouds. But if you want something more custom, that where you're like literally tailoring everything every like different aspect of it, that's where you'd use the environmental light rig, because you'll see here now you have what makes up your lighting. So you have a directional light that's built into this device, and so you can actually start messing around directly with the directional light itself. And the thing is with this is there are so many options, right? Shadow bias and shadow length and stuff. And then that's just the directional light. You have your sky atmosphere, and you have to bring in your own sky dome if you want clouds and skylight, and build your own fog. So you can really get into the weeds and get something like way more exact on to what you'd want. It's a lot more similar to lighting in UE versus our kind of pre-made time of day manager here. And it's important to note you can't use them both. They don't work together. So you kind of have to pick. Are you going to build your own, or are you going to use ours and make edits on top of it?
And then one more question is like, is there any performance benefits from one to the other?
I mean, yes, probably. Like, because you can customize your lighting more with the environmental light rig, you can probably make a lot make a lighting system that's like a lot less intense, I'd imagine, than our chapter 5 one. But
just like not including as many of the things as you might need.
Right, yeah.
Totally. Okay, cool. Thank you, I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so I was kind of thinking it's a good idea to get our heads around what we want this to look like. There's kind of a trope in cinematography where when you're in Mexico or somewhere very hot, in South America, the lighting is super like yellow and orange. Now it's done intentionally, and there is like an actual like purpose there, in that like we associate blue lighting with coldness and yellow lighting with warmness, right? That's why we have cold lights and warm lights. So it's not just like you're in a desert, therefore everything's yellow. It's just like our human brain kind of associates warm lighting with being warm. And so I think we will lean into that, like something a little more warm. So let's get some sunlight in here. Where's our sun? All right, that's such a weird place. Let's move that.
Why was that a weird place?
It's like directly like 90 degrees up.
Not the most flattering shadows.
No, not at all. No shadows even. Shadows are fun. Shadows are dynamic.
Mm, they set the atmosphere.
They
I
do. Just want it lower. You can see here with our time of day manager, as I bring the sun lower, it's automatically going into like sunset mode. Now, if you don't want that, which I actually don't, I'm gonna set it to a fixed time here. We want to position the sun in a way where we have like really nice shadows, like I mentioned. And so when it was nighttime, I had it behind this building, and you had like this really cool silhouette of the church, and the light was like leaking through the trees and coming down around the street corner, and that was awesome. Don't necessarily want to do that exact same thing though. Maybe we'll bring it. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It gives a different feel. And I really like how it's highlighting the shadows cast from the foliage and stuff too, right there.
Yeah. All right, cool. And it's always nice to like consider too, like the direction of your gameplay, right? So this is kind of that first path that players are going to be pushing down. That sun is hitting them really nice. This is the second one. It's a little darker. There's not as much direct sunlight. Maybe we'll mess with that a little. But then for the opposition, yeah, it's pretty cool. Not that interesting actually. So maybe we'll bring the sun up a little.
I'm interrupting your flow as promised with a question I saw earlier. Just because folks are wondering, is this made from pre-made assets that you had found?
Oh yeah, great question. This is used from Fab, from a pack that's available for purchase called Day of the Dead, and it's really awesome. And it's for both UE and UEFN. There's tons. I think there's like 1,000 assets. It's really sweet.
I love those balconies. I think those are kind of really grabbing the light.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna leave this for now. I don't like the color, but I like the amount of light and shadows that we're getting. So we are going to change the color of the sun now. We're going to do something a little warmer. Sure, we'll go with that for now. And okay. Next up, we'll just go in order here. Next up on this day sequence device is fog. I love fog. I'm fog's biggest supporter. Uh, Lighting just looks better with fog. Lighting without fog is pretty boring. So what
Bold.
we're gonna do is add
No,
in,
hot takes coming from hot takes
yeah,
coming from Josh today.
uh, great shout out, Curious, in the chat there about post processing volume. We are definitely going to be using that after our day sequence device is all set up. I am also post processing volume's biggest fan.
Wait. Hold on. Feel like we
Someone
have
write
to
this
pick
down.
one.
All right. We're finding a nice fog color here. I don't like going with something a little neutral to balance out our warm lighting.
How important do you find the actual fog color to be when it comes to finding the right overall feel for a scene?
Good question. I love using it to like it has like a really interesting way that it contrasts with like your sunlight. And so that's why like even though we wanted a warm atmosphere here, if I go warm, all of a sudden it's like very, very yellow, right? And so it's nice to use the fog to directly contrast that. And now it's finding a cool balance of like, yeah, you have this kind of like cloudy smokiness to it, that's a little more blue, but it's not like super blue, and so it's just kind of bringing the yellowness down in certain areas. Whereas if I was just to try to do this all with sunlight color, you wouldn't be able to get that effect.
Yeah, for sure. I also feel like for me, every time I've played around with fog, it very much comes down to color and density for if it feels claustrophobic.
Mm-hmm.
Even in like an open air scene like this, I feel like it can very quickly feel like the air here is heavy
Yeah,
almost.
yeah. That's why I'm gonna use height fall off. So you'll see this is height fall off at 0, and it looks like maybe there's like a forest fire going on or something. Christian, you'd probably be able to vouch there.
Ah,
California boy.
yeah. We need water.
So I'm gonna increase the height fall off a lot so that you'll see the sky clears up compared to before at the default. So I don't want the mountains to be super covered. I don't want the sky to be super covered. I want it to be like more of a dust thing, right? And the dust isn't going to be covering the sky. It's going to be really like on this dirt path here.
I like that it gives you the ability to sort of differentiate that. Because yeah, I think that entirely changes this scene if it's just local versus if it goes far out.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And there are like other settings too here. Your directional in scattering color. And so, I mean, I'm going to keep this as default just because I found a color I like. And this is where it gets like a lot more subtle. And I can't even see any changes there. But there's things like max opacity, right? And so there's your density, but there's also like if you want to get even more specific on how opaque that density is, there's secondary density, secondary fall off, and so on. And then if you were to go with that environmental light rig that I was showing earlier, there's like tenfold, maybe 20-fold the amount of settings here on determining your volumetric fog. So if you want to get in the weeds, that's the place to do it. Okay, so this is the skylight here. I really did not like what that just did. We have a skylight on. This is like a customizable version. So this is using the default one on the day, this time of day manager. This is switching over. So if we wanted to replicate that, we'd up the skylight because there was the default one is a little more. What a skylight does is it's filling in the world with fake light that's like not actually there. So it's kind of like an ambient light versus the sunlight, which is actually like directional light that's coming from the sun there. And so skylight can be nice when it's nighttime, for example, and you don't have a physical sun in the sky to light the world, but you also don't want it to be pitch black. There's a little delay on it, so you kind of, thanks to Lumen, it's like readjusting, and so you kind of have to be patient and find a sweet spot. All right, I think I found exactly
sort of like
where it was.
balance everything out so that it feels a little more lit up.
Yeah, exactly. And so like you don't need a skylight. It's just things look sometimes, depending on the lighting of your area, things can look a little boring and less dynamic.
Totally.
And again, you can change the color of that skylight. And then once I start changing the color here, you can start to see like really where this skylight's hitting. I kind of like
definitely.
Exactly
There
right.
is
We'll go a little
I know
cool,
you're doing this kind of out in the open right now, but there was a question from chat here. They're wondering if there's a way to add area fog to just like a specific room or a specific section of the map instead of overall.
Totally. Okay, so yeah, on that, like I said, the day sequence device operates as like a volume. Right now I have it set to the whole island, but you can set it to volumes. And so if there's, for example, if there's one level in your map that you want to have a certain look with fog, this is where you'd use it. If there's like one room you want that's really foggy, you could do that. But if you want people to see the fog like from outside that room, that's where it becomes a little tricky. That's where you'd bring in a Niagara particle effect and just actually like generate a fog particle that's maybe flowing out of this room or taking up space in this room. That's also what you'd get into when you start looking at like lighting scalability and optimizing your lighting and VFX for other devices, because certain devices aren't going to see this fog that I'm using right now in the day sequence device. But if you had an area that you're like, I need smoke in this room, you'd be able to like use a Niagara effect that's like scaled for platforms on low or medium or whatever, that won't look nearly as nice as like dynamic volumetric fog, but gets the job done. There was a great Unreal Fest talk by Paulo on the lighting scale builder and this topic. So it won't be out yet, but keep an eye on our channels for when we do start posting those Unreal Fest Orlando talks, because he's got like great examples where he goes into there about scaling your lighting. All right. Next up, we have the sky here. Okay. Couple things. So, yeah, right now we're using the Fortnite sky, the sky atmosphere, and the sky box. Without the sky box, you'll see it's just black, and so you can bring in your own skybox if you have like a nice like starry night that you've maybe got online or you made yourself, or and you can import those and you can still use those with this day sequence device. For the sake of this, we're just going to use the Fortnite sky because I don't have anything prepared other than that. you can change the sky gradients. So you'll see like the low area is lighter. That's tends to be like how light and sky work. Just because of the atmosphere, lower to the earth, it's going to appear brighter. And then as you go up, it's going to appear darker. I'm pretty happy with the color of the sky. I don't think we really need to change that. And if we do need some color adjustments, I'll probably end up doing that in the post-processing volume. We could change the color of our sun here. Which isn't a bad idea. I like a nice yellow sun.
Speaking of the post process, I'm sure you'll go more into it later, so not to go too far ahead in the process. But I
Mhm.
am curious for you, like at what point do you recognize this is something better left for post process versus working in individual lights or volumetric fog settings, stuff like that?
Yeah. That's a good question. I like post process because when you're dealing with like color management there, you can break it down into way more categories than you can with the day sequence device. So you can individually like adjust the saturation, the contrast, the gamma of each, the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows. And so um, as like someone who does a lot of photography, like that's how the workflow is when you're editing pictures. And so I love like how that equates to the post process volume here. So but to be completely honest, it's like whenever I'm lighting anything or creating any kind of atmosphere, I don't really go in with like a set plan of I'm going to achieve this look by doing this with the day sequence device and this with post processing. I kind of just drop one down, do my edits on it, drop the next one down, do more edits on it. Almost like you're like painting. And you're just like layering things on top of each other until you get something that you think works.
I love
And
that. We're
then
working with happy little accidents, is what I'm hearing.
exactly, yeah. Except
That's nice.
in painting, you don't have to then go optimize everything you just did. But
Yeah, like once you have both, then you're kind of like tossing them back and forth, like until you reach a perfect pie.
exactly. And then you have to figure out how to show that pie on lower end platforms.
Oh no.
It
No, but it's important.
is. Let's see. Sun size. Yeah, let's make our sun bigger. Nope, not that big.
I'm blinded. I like how earlier a lot of people were saying that you need to stop staring at the sun, and now we've just made it bigger.
I've just blinded everyone.
Dan is worried about a potential supernova. I think we should find a safe space.
Oh yeah, yeah. Our producer says this is a
Duck for cover.
supernova simulator.
Oh,
Oh,
yep, there
no.
we go.
Okay.
Don't worry, everyone. You're probably fine.
Yeah. All right, that's enough messing with the sun. You can even change the sun intensity. Okay, that really only makes it less intense.
Almost looks like a moon when you bring it down.
Yeah. Okay. It doesn't really change above 1 though, so yeah, and then if it was nighttime, like there's all this moon size stuff, there's stars that we have that you can like layer onto your skybox. There's also the cloud option. The thing is, when you do the cloud option, you lose our like nice volumetric clouds from chapter 5, which I kind of like. But I don't know. Let's mess around with clouds here, and we'll see what we prefer. Make them a little
That movement is nice.
white. Shadow.
Ooh, interesting.
Oh yeah, that really sets the mood.
Yeah, that's not bad. A little warmer shadow. I think they're moving a little fast here, so we can slow the movement speed down. But you can also do cool things like adjust the coverage if you want like a, really overcast. But we don't want that because look how it's changed our lighting now that the sun is covered and the light is like what's the word?
Dispersing.
Yeah, dispersing. We don't
Yeah.
want that. It's
Down
It's
with the
crazy how
storm.
just one option can drastically change it like that.
Yeah. Thanks to
Well,
Lumen,
and then
right? Because it's all like real time dynamic lighting, and so all of a sudden we introduce clouds, and yeah, now the sunlight is breaking all over versus just like really directly hitting certain areas. So
well, it just goes to show you how lighting like really has to be tinkered for whatever is happening. Like it's very hard to find a one size fits all, especially if you have a dynamic space.
yeah.
Yeah.
Someone asked if you can light stars up when it's not nighttime.
Sad.
No.
Oh, no.
That makes sense though. It's a little too bright.
That would be pretty cool. um You can change like the opacity of the clouds. We could have like a little wispier ones.
Someone mentioned in chat that the shift from baked lighting to dynamic lighting over recent years has been really interesting.
Totally.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
like something I feel like a lot of us didn't expect, maybe.
maybe not this quickly. And I'm sure there's probably also still folks, especially in the Unreal Engine chats, that are still using baked lighting, especially. Like if you're still on UE4, for example, like if you're still on 4.27 or something like that. It is interesting seeing the difference between projects, though, between what's using baked still and what's moved on to dynamic. Um, I'm excited to see how it continues to go. I feel like lighting has definitely been one of the things in particular that has progressed very rapidly over the past 3 years, especially. I feel like the next few phases are going to be blowing our minds, probably.
Especially if it's like performant on a low end device, like that would just be so cool because then you really can just like this is the scene for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Josh. You
What's
were
going on
so
here?
locked in on that cloud movement.
This is why I always say that we need two other people on this stream because I get so focused on tinkering with one setting.
It's good though. It's good. It shows
Yeah, all this
that
to I
attention to
think
detail.
honestly, I think I prefer these like nice puffy volumetric clouds.
But this was important. It was part of the process
Yes.
to arrive here.
Yeah. Sorry to disappoint you all. Okay.
Iteration. It's
Yeah.
important.
Okay. I think we're done with the day sequence device for now. So let's go. Also, I move around so much when I'm doing stuff like this, and so this might be a terrible viewing experience for you guys watching, and you just see me like moving around in the editor. But
At least 4 in the audience have vomited so far.
yeah.
Let's aim for 6. No.
Oh.
But I love like seeing every single change, like how it looks at every corner of the map.
No, that I mean that is good, especially if it's an environment that you know the players are going to be able to move around and see those parts, it's
Yeah.
good to get that full experience because otherwise that's how we get Oh, I'll leave it up to chat. I'm trying to think of specific examples, but I'm losing it. Post like if there's a game that's come out recently or that you've played recently where there might just be a specific part of the map, that either there's a weird visual glitch going on or every other part of it was absolutely stunning, and then behind one door there's some some kind of mess up.
Like,
It
oh,
happens. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Let's just go down this one too. So this is Bloom. Bloom does this. It diffuses. That's what I was looking for earlier with the clouds. That's also what Bloom
Ah.
does.
Mm.
It diffuses the light that's coming from your light sources, or I mean the sun, which is a light source, and so you kind of get this like not it's not fog. It's more like a kind of smeared look. Hallution.
a splat.
It's kind of like, in photography, like sometimes photographers will like smear Vaseline on their lens to like get this, right? To get bloom on the
Mhm.
lights, which kind of gives it like a filmy look. We're not going to use it that much, but we are going to use it because it's fun.
It's kind
But
of
It's
giving
fun.
Polaroid in a way.
exactly, yeah.
Definitely.
Someone said glow. Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Glow is a good one.
I guess I could have just said that.
I don't know. I like Schmear and Splat so far. Those are
Yeah,
It's also hard because the name of it is just it's pretty effective for
right. Bloom.
exactly what it does. Yeah.
Now, something I did on the nighttime one, which I really like, is like, and this is actually something that I would do too, when I was taking pictures on digital, is like, yeah, up the bloom, or on photo editing softwares, it's usually like dehaze, and you down the dehaze, and we kind of diffuse the lights like this. But then we go down to no local exposure right here. Then we can kind of counteract that. And it's like I said earlier, it's like a push and a pull, and we can up our detail strength. Detail strength is like, it's kind of like contrast. You'll see if I max this thing out. I mean, now that looks like games that like Christian and I grew up on. People loved their detail strength. Artists loved their detail strength back then. That was
See it all, every bit.
yeah. We definitely don't want it that high, but using a little bit
Oh,
of this to
nostalgia.
like counteract the bloom gets some pretty cool effects that you just didn't have when you were using either.
Kind of like smoothed it out.
Exactly. So it's like we um yeah, we diffused the light with the bloom, and then we brought details back up with detail strength. But if I were to hold this image in your mind, everyone, if I were to get rid of our bloom and get rid of our detail strength, it's not the same. It's so it's like it's a cool effect, and it's just kind of pushing and pulling everything you're doing to get something. Like, now based off of this change, I don't like how pale everything is. The bloom
Mm.
really desaturated a lot of this. So did the detail strength, and so then you go down to your color grading section, and so we can up the global saturation here. All right, now we've brought some color back. Subtle, but it's definitely
But
there.
effective.
You can definitely see it in the yellows and the reds.
Definitely.
Someone is curious if you can also change the sharpness of shadows with this device too.
The sharpness of shadows. Sharpness of shadows. So you can raise, still in the color grading section here. Let me actually this up. You can edit the shadows, saturation, the contrast, the gamma, the gain, the offset, and so you can here increase the contrast in the shadows, which might achieve what you're looking for. There are also some settings. Wow, I kind of do like that actually.
Chat's cooking.
Chat's kind of cooking. Maybe not all the way at 2, but shadows are pretty. Our blacks are pretty light, so kind of like that. Okay, thanks, chat. Thanks for cooking. But also in like your exposure settings and your local exposure here, yeah, shadow contrast, and so we already had that maxed out. And so I guess in the color grading section, you can do it even more. There's a little hack, I guess.
Josh, someone also mentioned in chat that you deserve a spa day.
A spa day.
Yeah. So I think they really appreciate that you're teaching them. They want you to take a break.
Oh, great. All right. Tina, you can take over. I'm hitting the spa.
Okay.
Wait, not yet,
so
not yet, not yet.
Next, what we're gonna do?
There's a Russian and Turkish bathhouse by me. Maybe I'll head over there. Okay. I'm kind of getting back in order now. So we're back up at the top, and I'm adding some vignette. Vignette is nice, just a little bit. That adds like darkness around the corners of your screen. I just want a little. It can get a little cheesy if you man. I love messing. I love messing with these settings, turning them all to max and being able to like name games I grew up on that like just went crazy with post processing.
For some reason, like Western music started playing in my head, like a duel or something.
Yeah, a tumbleweed needs to roll by right now.
Yes.
Literally.
Yeah. You can tell you can pinpoint exactly like what era of video games post-processing tech became a thing because everybody was using it. Like the lens flare. Oh man.
Oh, the lens flares.
Not the lens flare.
Everyone hates lens
flare
flares. And they aren't great to play with, but they do look nice.
They do look nice.
I like them in dynamic settings, but like I feel like it makes sense at times, and it's really cool.
Yeah, but see, like that's what we don't want.
Well, I don't know. It depends.
I don't know. I'm gonna
having astigmatism be like.
I think I have too many lights going on. The lens flare is just going a little crazy. But I mean, okay. Well, let's check out some of these settings. Maybe we can finesse it. So you can do a tint on them. We don't need to do that though. The bokeh size is nice because then you can kind of diffuse them. Yeah, look at that. See, we could get like. That's.
See, I kind of love it.
Yeah, it is.
I do too, and I don't know why.
Okay. All right. Maybe we'll do that. You can even upload your own like custom shape on them too, so you could get pretty cool, pretty fancy.
Whoa.
Curious asked if there's a way to disable it on point lights. That's a good question.
Let's explore.
Let's check. I have no idea.
I'm not sure if you can do it individually.
Yeah.
But someone please correct me if I'm wrong. If someone in chat knows, let us know. Educate us all.
Yeah, educate us. Someone said it works more for nighttime settings. Totally. Yeah, totally. But I think like very subtle, not too bad. I mean, lens flare does happen in the daytime too. As long as you're pointing your camera somewhere where there's light, you will get some lens flare, bright light.
PSA, do not point your camera at the sun.
Yes, I'm always terrified I'm gonna like burn my sensor, even when I'm just walking and.
It just accidentally shifts. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
My
I have a Leica M6, and apparently they're like notorious for like if they face the sun for like it's like 1.2 seconds directly, it burns a hole in your
Oh
sensor.
my God.
So I'm always terrified when I'm walking around with it. I'm like holding it down a little.
The sun
Just
is a
have the
deadly
cap on at all
laser.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. Also, a little controversial is chromatic aberration. I love it. I love it. I love it in my pictures. I love it in my games. Maybe if it's like a competitive FPS, then it kind of just gets in the way. But I think it really adds something. And so you'll see it like around the edges of this image. I don't love it like maxed out, but I love just a little bit. All right, very, very subtle.
So you mentioned for gameplay like an FPS, you wouldn't want to do something like this. What gameplay would you want to do it in? Like, it's interesting that you bring up gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, I think when people play competitive games, they're not usually as worried about like how beautiful and photographic the area looks. And so they tend to, drop all their settings to the lowest so they can get the most performance possible because they're there to win and rank up. And this other stuff can, lens flares and chromatic aberration can get a little distracting, or vignette can, give them a disadvantage right around the corners. They might not see someone because it's darker or something. But I like making things that look good. And so that's what we're going to do. And that's why you give your players the option to turn it all off if they want.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a fun call out.
You can also change the offset. And so how much of your screen gets brought in. And keep it to the corners.
I will kind of piggyback a little bit off of what you just said of making sure that the settings are set where folks can turn them on and off. Because just as like a small PSA for that one, it is known to cause like motion sickness for those who might be more prone to motion or sim sickness. So these kinds of settings are super fun, but I think these ones in particular, yeah, make sure that people can choose whether they have them on or off.
Yeah, exactly. Another one, which is tucked all the way down here, is film grain intensity. As someone who shoots film, I mean, I love it. I love seeing grain dance around the screen when you're standing still. But I mean, this is another one a lot of people like to turn off because it can get distracting or, just be too much moving going on at once.
There's so much texture there. Wow.
Here, let me,
Yeah, that's a great shot to be able to see.
Yeah. So I mean, this is it maxed out. If you're like going for like an old VHS vibe.
Yeah, totally.
I have a body cam tutorial that's on the FN Create channel, and I use film grain, not actually this intense, but I do use it to help achieve that effect. We're not gonna have a ton of it, but it is nice, especially like in the skies and stuff. I like it. I'm a fan. Okay. Yeah, so this is something that Curious mentioned earlier, adjusting your white balance in post-processing. And so you go to the right, that's warmer. If you go to the left, that's colder.
Whoa. Wow.
If you've ever used
different.
like a photo editing software before, this is like 1-to-1. Most of post-processing is, which is why it's like so fun, because it's like you're editing a picture, except you're editing, I mean, the camera in the game at runtime. see. Maybe we'll just up it just a little bit.
Oh.
Tint is green and magenta. So left is green, right is magenta.
Ooh, why do I kind of like the magenta lean a little bit? I'm sorry. There is a joke that was thrown in chat, and I have to tell you, and I apologize to everyone preemptively
Oh
on their
God.
behalf. But if you were going for a warm look, you blew it, Josh.
Oh my! Someone said that in chat. Seriously?
Yeah, in the
Get
Twitch
out.
chat.
Moderators.
Banned. No.
Not on my time.
Slapping my knee now.
Yeah.
It's hard because I like multiple versions of this.
I do.
So
I like both the green and the purple, or the pink. I
Mhm.
Yeah, when I'm shooting film, I use Portra 400, which is like notorious for like its warm or its pink shadows. So I personally love that look. And so here's what maybe I'm just gonna leave that as default, and then we can get a little more particular with our shadows here. Yeah, this is where the fun comes in. And so when you go down here to your shadows, I'm going to be using gamma to. Ooh, I want to go
Woo,
all the way.
that's a vibe.
Never go all
Inkblot
to never
test.
go to the end. But you'll see here our shadows changing colors. Maybe we go with. Let's go with some bluish purple, some colder shadows here to contrast our warm light. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I
Is there a
like that
difference?
contrast. It's it's great because it's so subtle,
Yeah.
but it really does all come together to be so effective working hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I also do love the idea of somebody coming across the stream who's maybe never done development before or hasn't played around with like filmography or anything like that, and they see us just going back and forth between these tiny little changes.
Yeah.
Well, now, like, I love kind of hearing the comparison. It's like, if you are into film, then you can like easily jump into making something like this because the two are so similar. It's nice to know what hobbies complement each other.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
I'm gonna leave our midtones. I just never
Ooh,
really ever edit midtones because it's way too intense, and so I'll usually just do highlights and shadows. We don't have many highlights over here. It's just our clouds. Oh, I might leave our highlights as is too. I really love this street. I love where this is at. I don't really like it down here. I don't know. I think it's missing.
Is it too dark, maybe?
Yeah, it's like I think it's missing some dynamic lighting like right here. Like this looks super plain. Maybe it's missing like fog back here or something.
Hmm.
But that kind of does it for the post-processing volume.
question for you is like, is there a way you could almost like make fog that is like at an angle? So like the mountains behind the church could be kind of foggy, but then the mountains on the other side that we wanted to not be foggy are like very clear.
Yeah.
So it's like almost at an angle.
Yeah, that's probably like kind of like I touched on earlier. When you want to start getting into like actual placed fog that's like super intentional on where it is, that's where you'd end up making a Niagara effect. Let's see if we just have any default log ones.
Someone else thought that maybe some trees or buildings in the background could be cool.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's try this.
It's interesting, because they're especially like in little valley towns like this, that is also just how it would look sometimes too. So it is, I feel like a great example of sometimes maybe veering away from full reality necessarily. Because what you had before may actually more accurately depict how a town like this may actually look.
Yeah,
But is it fun for the player? Is it a fun
right.
experience to run through and look at?
Yeah,
And ultimately,
exactly.
if the answer is no, then
I know, I was
what do
just
you need to
thinking,
push
I was
for?
in a town recently in Peru and all the mountains nearby were like forested. So there was no trees. But as you like got farther out from the town, the trees kind of reemerged because it wasn't forested. So literally same thought of like this does seem more realistic, but I love that call out of it might not appeal to gameplay.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's too many.
There's just one patch of very densely packed trees.
Yeah, I mean, I like that a lot better now. That was a
Hmm.
very great call out. Whoever said that in the chat, thank you. Maybe even like throwing a couple on the mountain.
Someone also mentioned some imperfections on the background mountains. I don't know what you think about that.
Mm. Like imperfections, like it's kind of too green and empty. Cause I
Mm.
see that.
Yeah, or maybe like sections that are brown
Yeah,
where grass has died or things like that. That's an
true. This
interesting
is
thought.
true.
Something you could probably add with like a world line texture into your
Hmm.
shaders as a quick fix if that's something someone wanted to employ for themselves. Oh man. Oh, I'm just imagining the furniture constantly rolling in that place.
Oh yeah, that doesn't look too great. Okay, let's do that. Let's move this one up.
But again, unfortunately accurate for
Someone get an auditor out here.
Listen, I'm thinking of a couple of my first apartments, and listen, if you wake up and the dining table is not where it was in the morning, it's not always ghosts.
I was gonna say my mom would immediately scream, "Ghost! I have a ghost!" Wait, so like it actually would slide overnight?
A little, yeah, yeah, because the, the whole building was like at a slant, so anything that was on wheels was a goner.
That is hilarious. I love that.
Yeah. It would also make things like putting up pictures a nightmare because you know it's straight, but it's not going to look straight
Mm,
because you're adjusting so that your center of gravity isn't leaning with the house or anything. So, not that that necessarily applies to atmosphere, but
You're now a geometry expert because of your home.
yes, yeah.
Excuse me.
all right. I'm liking this a lot, guys. I think I'm gonna
Me
increase the
too.
intensity of our sun here a little. Just a little.
That's fun because that street does pop a lot more now than it did
Yeah.
before.
Mm.
Weirdly, I might actually like this street even more than the first one now.
I know. Now I'm really liking this.
The toss.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you like really wanted to get cool here, I'm envisioning like a waterfall down this mountain, and like that'd be a very cool view. A river. I'm not gonna do that for you guys though.
What have you done for us lately? Why do we have to put in a lake?
We want water features.
No, not in UEFN. No.
Next time.
Okay, I mean, I'm quite happy with this. Does
Yeah.
chat have any other suggestions here?
Let's see. We'll give him a second. Any suggestions from chat? Things you'd like to see? I'm curious how quickly and easily you could take everything you just did and with just a few minor tweaks completely alter the vibe into something else personally. But before that, I would love to see if there's any suggestions from chat for what you're currently doing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I might change the color of the screen.
Hmm.
While we're waiting on chat, Josh, I have one other question, which is kind of leaning back on what I asked earlier. Using the built-in lighting versus the custom one,
Mhm.
does this one handle all performance optimization for you? So, like, if someone's at a low setting, will it just do all that for you, or will both of them do it all for you?
Yeah. So when you're using the environmental light rig, I'm not too sure on how that handles automatic performance calculation. I'm not sure if you have to rely on the lighting scalability manager, um, or what. I mean, I'm assuming. Well, I know for a fact Lumen will turn off if you're on a platform that doesn't support Lumen.
Okay.
But if we go to this fancy new performance tab from UE 5.6, which always throws me off, uh, we can go for viewport scalability, and we can see what this would look like on medium. Oh God. Okay, that's not too
Prepare.
bad.
No,
It's
that
fine.
was surprisingly painless, actually.
I mean, it definitely looks a little grungier now and colder, but this is where you would set up like those scalability tools and the Lumen manager, so that you can have a post process volume that is set to uh, that's set for Lumen, the Lumen exposure manager. This one. Woo!
Mm.
And so you can have a post processing volume right here that is right here. That's set for Lumen devices, and you can make your edits like we just did, specific for that, for what it will look like on Epic settings, on high settings, on Lumen devices, right? PS5 and Xbox One, and then you can also say post process for what it will look like not on Lumen devices. And so in this case, I'd probably turn the detail strength down because the bloom and the fog aren't having as much of an effect on diffusing light, right? So now it just looks like we're sharpening this a ton. And so I'd turn the detail strength down, maybe the contrast down a little to try to equal that out. And that's a whole other fun push and pull of trying to figure out what looks best on Lumen devices, what looks best on Lumen devices. But I love my Lumen devices, so I'm gonna switch back now.
We're
Shout
gonna
out
bring
Lumen.
that back.
Shout out Lumen. Phew, we're back.
That was scary for a second there, but we're back and it's okay.
Looking very grunge there.
Which isn't necessarily bad. That can fit for its own vibe, but
It totally can. How do you
I mean,
make
if anything,
lens
that was a
flare-
perfect example of what I was saying before, of like you could just change a couple quick settings and completely alter the whole feel of this.
Yeah. Someone asked how to make the lens flare more visible. That's in the post-processing device in the lens flare section. And then you can just crank the intensity.
It is fun. It is kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie.
With the colored like Christmas lights, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. In all fairness, if this was like a first-person shooter or something, maybe not.
Right.
But
As you're aiming down your sight,
Yeah,
it's just
you're
like, ah,
getting,
my
like,
eye.
blinded by colors.
The power of friendship will not let you eliminate this player.
Have you tried just approaching and saying hi through proximity chat?
What if we just talked about this?
We're at his friends. I like this take. This is what
Sudden-
lens flare does for you.
Suddenly we're dancing together. Yeah, this is lens flare in a nutshell.
All right, let's let's quickly try Tina's question here. How quickly can we
Yeah.
shift this?
We turn into something completely different.
Completely
What's
different.
what's a different vibe that y'all from chat would be curious to see? I want to know from you. Do you want something spooky? Do you want something maybe more colorful, perhaps? What are you interested in seeing?
Vibe check.
Vibe check. Speedrun challenge. My
Speed run challenge.
favorite.
Yeah, I'm kind of throwing you under the bus because this is me just we're doing
I
it
love it.
live.
I love it.
Speed build improv. Ooh, someone said like a sort of Silent Hill thing would be interesting. Just turn the fog all the way up and there you go, it's done.
Wintry
Cold weather game.
Ooh.
That one's also interesting. Another person also suggested like something wintry, cold but still vibrant.
All right. Yeah, let's try that.
Yeah.
It's
I'm gonna-
December now.
Get rid of that post-processing.
Yes.
It's
Or
winter.
June, depending on the location on the planet.
Ooh.
And we'll get rid of this too. We'll just start completely from scratch one more time. And we'll completely subvert expectations and make our nice Mexico environment all cold and blue.
That one's really hard actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, just because it's not the the kind of environment that you would typically associate with that.
Yeah. But
So I'm curious how believable it'll
Mhm.
be, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, like do the buildings go with the atmosphere?
Right, yeah. This is true hard mode.
Maybe even a snow VFX spawner. Was suggestion on the chat.
Yeah.
That might be a little, I don't know. We could pull off snow. These roofs look like they would collapse if snow was on top of them.
Our community manager Flack in the Twitch chat was just saying those roofs are not made for snow.
We're on the same wavelength.
It's okay. Cool. We came here for a little general chaos. It's all right. Just don't think about the logistics and it'll be fine, everybody.
Actually, I'm still gonna go with a warm sun. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Okay.
I think that'll contrast on the rest of the world being gold and blue.
Who wants to ensure the snow is melting?
Exactly.
There's your Silent Hill. Oh, that's actually so beautiful with the sunlight rays right there. Wow.
And see, now I'm okay with the height fall off not being, you know, as intense, because we kind of want the sky to be a little foggier because there's snow coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Cold. I changed that. I think it's a little intense there on the light, so I'm lowering our volumetric scattering, this part. I mean, that'd be like beautiful for like one shot in like a movie or something, but to play in, a little intense. Let's just bring that down to here. Yeah, that's much better. Ooh, I like that. Whoa.
Wow. I'm instantly chilly.
That definitely made it feel cold.
Yeah.
Skylight. Hoodie weather.
Yes, for sure.
The skylight here is really nice because if any of you are from somewhere where it does snow and you walk outside and it's sunny out, the light is like, I mean, nothing you ever experience because it's bouncing right off of this like pure white snow. And so you're just kind of blinded. And so this kind of does a good job at even though we don't have snow on the ground, it does a good job at mimicking that because it's like this light is bouncing everywhere, like the skylight is filling it kind of everywhere with light. Kind of good with all of that. Clouds should probably have some more coverage here.
Gary's made an interesting suggestion as well of turning up the film grain to kind of make it look like the clouds are carrying moisture and stuff as well.
Ooh, true. Oh yeah. So I lowered the size now and you can kind of see like the ripples in the clouds more.
Wow.
Oh yeah, this is giving a lot more like Serbia or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Post-processing time.
Is this your favorite time?
This is my favorite time.
Okay.
Oh, I just accidentally brought 2 out. I was in game view. Classic.
So does that mean that post-process is you can hear me over my dog's collars being shaken aggressively in the background?
Yeah, I can't hear it.
Oh, good, good. Um, does this mean post-process has come out on top of fog, or is it still competing?
Ooh, I think it does come out on top because I think fog like helps, but post processing like fits it all together,
Mm.
really lets me mess with the camera output here.
What is your favorite post-processing effect?
Um, probably the color grading. I love color grading.
That's fair. I thought that was going to be like a deceptively difficult question for a second.
Okay,
So
wait.
it is this.
Yeah. All right. Decisive.
Well, that's why it wasn't working. I didn't set it to infinite extent.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Oh, whoops. Flashbang.
Where'd you guys
Our
go?
poor audience.
I'm gonna have to put like warnings in the timestamps for this.
Okay. And I've kind of like blown up our exposure compensation here. Okay, I do like it. Maybe I'll tone it down a little.
Hey Josh, you want the corner of your screen?
Oh, whoops. All right. Do 0. Yeah, I like that. Um, Force some lens flare again. And mess around with temperature.
Hmm.
Oh my god, that lens flare is way too
Whoa.
intense.
That lens flare. A little more aggressive with
Oh,
the
that's fine.
cool toned
Yeah.
surrounding.
All
They
right.
desire to be seen.
Burr.
Yeah, for real.
All right. I like that. I like that. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, film grain then. The old faithful shadows. A little warmer shadows there. And then let's see, saturation.
Hmm. That one's also hard to pick between.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely like a cool unsaturated, desaturated look, but I really love the blues that we've landed on.
Yeah, because I feel like the other one looks more like foggy. This one just like I'm shivering.
Yeah. All right. Do we have a snow effect for the
Um,
box?
in
Someone.
the VFX spawner, I believe there's a snow setting.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's perfect.
It's beginning to look a
Wow.
lot like.
That's beautiful, guys.
There we go.
That is insane. Literally two completely different environments.
Wow.
Yeah,
That really tied it all together.
it really did. Great suggestion from chat.
Oh yeah.
And it's like the color, like the lights, like the greens and the blue, like they almost make sense in this context, even though they had like an entirely different purpose in the other lighting. Now it's like festive and
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Someone did ask how the detailed textures are not making a problem for performance. I mean, these are like pretty optimized, and they're all material instances. And the textures, I mean, we have texture limits in place for a reason, and so they're all within those and do validate. But I'm not going to launch session because that's going to take too long because they are a lot of high detailed textures. Um, I mean, if I were to launch this game, I'd probably have to optimize it a lot more than I have now. But on my PC, it works okay.
Awesome. Well, while
Yeah.
we admire this for a second, because this is awesome. And I do love that, yeah, just going through and tweaking a couple of settings that you had already gone through and explained made a completely different scene entirely by the end of it. Um, I would love to hear from chat. What would you like to see from us next for our next build along? Drop some suggestions. We'll see which one pops up the most, and we'll go from there because we're always looking for what you want to know more about. So let's see. That could either be a specific game type. This one was about atmosphere and visuals and looks. We could do more stuff in that direction too. We've done, what are some of the other ones we've done? Josh, help me out here. We've done a dropper mechanic one.
Yeah, we did Fall Guys. We did um quests and cinematics and
Yes.
we did the Walking Dead universe
Mm-hmm.
and then this one
And this one.
and then this one.
So yeah, let us know what you're interested in seeing more of, or maybe not even more, something new entirely.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
Christian is ramping up on verse. He just started, but eventually, once he's all ramped up, we'll be able to get into some more in depth gameplay verse talks. But
yeah, so feel free to drop any interest there as well. It can help a lot with my boot up process to know what games you're interested in making or what mechanics, anything you want a deeper dive in, drop it in the chat.
Yeah. Let's
yeah,
see, seeing some physics and gameplay. Lots of scene graph verse
yeah,
requests as well, especially over from Twitch. Yeah, lots of good suggestions. So yeah, and also, if anyone is watching this after the fact, we do not just have to be taking suggestions live as well, though we do very much appreciate you all being here while you are, of course. So if you're watching this later and you also have a suggestion for things that you'd like to see, pop it down in the comments as well, and we'll check those out too. But with that, while we're gathering in those suggestions for some potential topics moving forward, I do want to ask, is there anything else from either of you, Josh or Christian, that you want to go over today, or do you feel like we've accomplished the task.
I think we've accomplished the task. Someone did ask. Their snow environment looks really beautiful on their end, but shows up super foggy and dark on other platforms. Could be because the other platforms don't have Lumen on, and you do, and Lumen helps with like a realistic, like real-time exposure. It works a lot like your eyes do, and so when you're in a darker place, your eyes adjust that exposure, and you're able to see a little better. And but then all the bright spots become more overexposed, like a camera works too. And so it's possible that you don't have enough like actual real lighting hitting that room, and Lumen is doing a lot of the heavy lifting on your end, and that's when you'd maybe need to add some actual lights in there, or up your your skylight, like we had talked about today, or your sunlight directly, or add some windows to the room, or something.
All great advice.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Well, seeing some great suggestions, please keep them coming. We'll be back again with another one of these soon. And looking forward to seeing more Christian around here too, walking us through some verse and stuff in the future. A big welcome to Christian from us here and everyone watching. Very happy to have you here. Great addition. But yeah, with that, thank you so much, everybody, for coming and watching today. If you missed any part of the stream, no worries, because we post all of our streams in video format that can be viewed on demand on both our Twitch and YouTube channels at Unreal Engine and FN Create. So you can check them out across all those different platforms and stuff. You can also keep up with us on our social media for the latest news and updates and all that good stuff at FN Create. And if you haven't, which you should have, but it's okay, I'm not judging. You should join us on the Epic developer community. And that's because that's where we house basically everything you could ever need. We have our documentation, we have our forums, we also have a plethora of tutorials and learning paths and great content that's made by both our Epic staff and wonderful members of our community as well. So if you haven't already, go check that out. There's lots of information and stuff available for you there. But otherwise, thank you so much for coming and hanging out today. One last big thank you to Josh and Christian for being here and walking through this great show with us. And we'll see you all next time. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.
See you guys.